first time I met Dwight, I think, was at the Bay Area Music Awards, where he and Joe gave away an award, presented an award, maybe to us, I can't remember, but we met, and it was uncanny. We exchanged, information. He has one brother, one who's roughly 5 years younger than he is, and named Jeff. I have one brother who's 5 years younger than mine, named Jeff. He had two kids, Casey and Riley. I had two kids, Kelly and Austin, exactly the same ages. His Casey and my Kelly are born within 9 days of each other, and our sons were born within a month of each other. So it was funny like that, and we hit it off great. From then on, I think I was sort of, it was kind of cool that Dwight Clark was so I called him my pal. I said, my new pal, Dwight Clark. I felt that was pretty cool. And he felt the same way, so he called me his pal. So forever, we called each other my pal. When he'd phone on the phone, he'd say, my pal, my pal.
What year was that? Did you meet him? Do you remember?
Probably, that's going to be tough. I'm going to say that was 82, maybe? 81?
And what was it about Dwight that I know you said you had all the similarities, but was there something about him? I mean, everybody...
Yeah.
It seems that it's just like he wasn't a superstar. He was the catch, but
yeah.
What is it about Dwight that everybody loved so much?
Yeah, hard to say. He was a special guy, Dwight. He really was. I mean, he was handsome. He was talented. He was smart, super smart, and sensitive to people, and a real people guy, and a lover of people, and generous. And sweet, and a great listener. I mean, he was an exceptional guy, Dwight Clark.
When you look at Dwight Clark on the field and off the field, was there any difference?
Yeah. I mean, he could, during a game, people get fired up during the game. I mean, he's a competitor. I mean, Dwight was a real competitor, and I think, although I wasn't in uniform with him, and I'm sure the players can attest to that, he was, a fierce competitor and took no prisoners,
You're a big 49ers fan. Were you at that game with the catch?
Yeah.
Explain that moment, what you were doing, when you saw it. Eddie D says that he couldn't see it because he was behind a big horse's ass.
Right.
On the other side of the field.
I was on the other side of the field too, and we had, the Dallas Cowboys had just beaten our brains out for years and years and years, and I was sure it wasn't going to work. I couldn't believe, and then the catch happened. I mean, I remember thinking, I can't believe we beat the Dallas Cowboys. We finally beat the Dallas Cowboys, and that was amazing. I mean, that was such a moment, not only for the 49ers, not only for football, but for San Francisco, I mean, that's was the start of that run. And really, for San Francisco, it was something we could all be proud. And coming out of the 70s were really kind of ugly in San Francisco. We had, the Zodiac stuff, and you had the SLA, and you had the Super Spade on Haight-Ashbury. Haight-Ashbury was all turning terrible, and the 60s thing had all turned awful. And the 49ers really saved us from that, and they really, they helped us.
You talked about that era where the Bill Walsh, and then in comes Dwight and Joe Montana in the first year. Can you talk about how the 49ers, and specifically maybe how Dwight Clark and Joe Montana may have changed maybe the Bay Area a little bit in what they did? Not because they won Super Bowls, but because of maybe who
it was, they were very bright, and we have to mention Bill Walsh, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Bill was super smart, and Bill knew. Bill not only changed football, because prior to Bill's, even just X's and O's, the West Coast offense, where you flare passes first and then run later, that kind of thing was new. But beyond that, he talked about oneness with the team, and defensive guys and offensive guys, and he also interacted with the community a lot, Bill, importantly. And the real reason first time I met Dwight and Joe was because they came to the Bay Area Music Awards, and Bill was happy to lend the 49ers to different civic functions. I remember in Rockland, when they were at camp, he brought the whole team to our gig at Cal Expo in Sacramento one time. And then he also invited us to be on the airplane to go to the Super Bowl. We traveled on the team plane. Huey Lewis and the News did on a couple of occasions, and this was all come from Eddie and Bill, and Bill was super wise that way. Knew what his place in the community was and everything, and knew how to formulate a real team where it was everybody for one for all for one. No cadres, not defense versus offense. They were all together. And Dwight was one of his principal communicators. Dwight was one of the guys who really got that sort of Walsh doctrine, spread that Walsh doctrine throughout the locker room. And Ronnie Lott, Joe, like that. So.
I read somewhere that you, Joe, and Dwight were the Three Musketeers or the Three.
Right.
What is that? What is the story behind?
I don't know that.
What is that? You don't know why they call you?
Well, we did a lot of stuff together. We sang some. They came to a few gigs and we sang together and all that stuff. And we hung out a little bit together. And I think Carmen coined that term, the Three Musketeers.
Let's talk about Dwight's singing skills. How is he?
Very good. Dwight was a really good singer. It's hard for me to say was. I can't believe that he's gone. He's so full of life, Dwight. It's hard to believe that. Well, he's not gone. He's just dead. He's not gone.
When I saw a couple of videos on your YouTube channel of Dwight, the one with "Hip to Be Square,"
right?
And the whole team, like Joe Montana, came on stage. Can you tell us that story? How did that come about? And then even the Tarzan yell that they were talking about yesterday at the memorial service.
Yeah, he had a great Tarzan yell. Dwight had the great Tarzan yell. Yeah, when I met Joe and Dwight, I said, hey, you guys, we'll have to get you on one of our records. And they said, well, we'll do it. Or I think they might have said, hey, let us sing on your record. Or Dwight might have said, let me sing on your record, and we'll let you take a few snaps. And we'll do it. And I said, okay, sure. So first we had on Hip to Be Square, we got Joe, Dwight, Ricky Ellison, and Ronnie Lott to sing here, there, and everywhere. And they, four of them. And then we triple tracked it, and it sounded like 100 people, and then we put harmonies over it. And then of course, we found out in the studio that Dwight can really sing. I mean, he really could sing. And so we let him run a little bit. And if you listen to the record today, the last Hip to Be Square is Dwight on there. I sing it about 3 times. And the very last one before the fade is Dwight. And he sang the whole song when he was there. He was great. He's a great singer.
But so when he came on stage, did you decide at that concert?
Oh.
And he took the mic over too.
Well, no, that's on a different show. That was a different show. When they all came on stage for Hip to Be Square, they would come on for the chorus part, and we did that famously at Oakland Coliseum, with I think it was a week before the Super Bowl or something like that, and they all came out on stage and did the here, there, and everywhere kind of thing. Yeah.
But then that one, where was that one performance where he did take that mic over?
That was at Slim's, I believe, or it was a benefit show, small little benefit show somewhere at Slim's, I believe. I think the where he sings "Working on a Coal Mine" was from a benefit performance at a club. I think it's Slim's, and but Dwight could really sing, no question.
That's great. There was also, you were very much a part of the 49ers team, even though you didn't put on the pads and the uniform. You were always playing I read somewhere that it was during the glory days. You had concerts. You were part of like a music theme, and Huey Lewis and the News was always, it's kind of like Huey Lewis and the News, and the 49ers in the 80s.
Right.
How did that relationship? What was that like? That bond between the two different.
Well, they used to say athletes and musicians. I said, well, we have a lot in common. We hang out in coliseums and take a lot of showers together. But it really came from Eddie and Bill, And they encouraged us to be a part of it, and they included us in all this stuff. And they knew Dwight and I were close, and they just thought it was good for the morale of the team. And so they invited us to all these functions, to be on the team playing now and again, to go to Hawaii for the party, the Super Bowl party, and there and there, and we'd play and stuff. Yeah, that was all because they all just included us, and we developed real close relationships with a lot of the players.
Can you talk about the time? Did when Dwight told you he was sick? Did he call you or?
Yeah. I mean, typical Dwight. He called me, and I was at the airport, and he said, "It's tough," but he said, "How are you?" I said, "I'm fine. What's up?" He says, "Oh, I got something I need to tell you." I said, "Great, what is it?" He said, "Well, where are you?" I said, "I'm at the airport." Oh, never mind. I'll call you later. I said, "No, what is it? What?" "Well, no, I don't want to bum you out. I'll call you later. I'll call you another day." I said, "Dwight, tell me, what is it? What is it?" He says, "Well, I've been diagnosed with ALS." Wow, hit me like a rock, man. Tough stuff. But that was Dwight. I mean, he was so worried about me and my feelings, I mean, he was such a sweet guy, man. He always he cared about everybody, and super sensitive to everybody in every room, from the little kid to to anybody, to fans, to whatever. He was just wonderful to everybody. Loved people, wonderful to everybody, and everybody loved Dwight. I don't know anybody that didn't love Dwight Clark.
And he fought it.
Oh, he fought it hard.
He fought it there to the very end. When we talked to Eddie D and Jeff, it was just something that he knew he probably couldn't beat, but he fought it to the very end.
He really did, man. I mean, I visited him because I live in Montana, and when they moved to Montana, I visited him occasionally, and I watched him degrade, go downhill. It was tough to see. But I remember one time he had never been to the top stairs of his house. They had just moved the house, and because he couldn't walk very good, and so I said, "Well, you want to go upstairs? Come on, I'll carry you." And me and my pal, we got each arm, and he worked his way up those stairs. I mean, he climbed. I mean, it was unbelievable to watch him. That was so tough for him, and he would not give up. He would not give up.
If you're okay talking about, where were you when you heard the news that he had passed?
I was home in Montana. I was getting ready to visit the next day. I was ready to go up there because the kids were going to come up there and so on. I was going to go visit the next day. He went down here real fast, and as often is the case, I think. And it was a blessing, really, because he was miserable. Last I saw him a week before he passed, and he was miserable. We talked. I mean, I can't hear very well, and he couldn't talk very well. So we wound up with our heads 2 inches apart from one another. Me talking into his ear, and he talking into my ear like this. But he was always positive, man. He was just and he always cared about what everybody else was. He was always worried about you. Here's a guy on his deathbed with ALS worried about me and my hearing and stuff. What a sweet man.
Would you share what you said to him?
What's that?
Would you share what you said to him? Or would you rather not?
Oh, I just told him I loved him. We just told each other we loved each other, which I do. I love Dwight Clark. I'm one of millions of people that love Dwight Clark. But he was really a special guy. I'm so glad I got to know him.
You obviously have so many memories and stories about Dwight. Would you mind sharing maybe your most memorable or story about him about Dwight that you're going to always think about?
Well, there's so many times I think about him. I don't know that there is any one special memory. I suppose the thing I remember most about him is he came on he came on the road with us to tour for about a week. He had a week. It was off season, and we were pals. I said, "Come on out on the road. It was fun, ride on the bus and stuff." And he did for about a week. And I was in the stage where I would work out, and we were playing Coliseums, and we'd get to the Coliseum early, do a sound check, and then I'd change and do a little run, a little workout. Well, So I said, I got to do my little work. I'll work out with you, says Dwight, you know. So me and him, we're in gym clothes, and we do a workout together. Well, you know, my workout is like nothing for him. You know, we would do a little run. We'd run around the Coliseum like 10 times, you know. And I could tell he was just like loafing, you know, waiting for me, you know. It was funny. And I got a sense of what a great athlete he was, just how physically great he was. But that's the kind of guy he was. I mean, he could have just run twice as fast and got his workout on too, but no, he stuck right with me the whole way, you know. It's funny.
What will you remember about Dwight Clark?
I'll remember his generosity and his sweetness, you know, his heart. Dwight had a huge heart for people, and his sensitivity to everybody. He knew he was very, in any room, anywhere, he was just very sensitive, a people person, and just a lover. You know, he was a real lover.
Do you still, I'm sure you think about him every day. Do you just say, "What's up, pal"?
I do. I think about, and I have this hearing thing, and my hearing is, I've lost my hearing, which is really tragic for me because I can't sing. I can't hear music well enough to sing, and it's been this way for 6 months, and it was really bad. I have tinnitus and everything. Well, when Dwight passed, my hearing got better. For like 3 or 4 days, it got almost much, much better, and I went, wow, that's weird. And then I thought maybe I'm going to get, and then it got bad again, and now just for the memorial yesterday, my hearing is better again. It's not as good as it was. Is it good enough to sing? I don't know, but it's markedly better for the last couple days. And I think that might be Dwight. I mean, I don't know what else to attribute it to. I think it might be my pal trying to help out.
I was going to listen to you talking. How is your hearing? Right now it's going
pretty
well?
Good. See, I have a hearing aid that helps me with speech, but I can't hear music enough because music resonates and distorts, and I can't find pitch. But it's a little better now, and it's still fluctuating, clearly. So if I can build on this and get better, I'll be better. And, you know, that's what I'm hoping for. What would I say was Dwight's legacy? The 49er offense, the 49er dynasty is Dwight's legacy. Dwight was a huge part of the San Francisco 49ers, not just as a wide receiver, but as a locker room, as a leader, just a leader of that team. And he helped crystallize all those great athletes into a great team, and the 49ers wouldn't have been near as great without Dwight Clark.
One last question for you. Eddie, Mr. D actually yesterday at the memorial talked about the contract signing with
That was funny.
Did Dwight ever talk to you about that?
No. And I talked, it's funny because after the memorial, Carmen talked about it, and apparently he didn't give Dwight a Ferrari. He gave Joe the Ferrari, and he gave Dwight a silver Mercedes.
So he lost 2 cars and $1.5 million.
$1.5 million. Isn't that great?
That's great.
You know, Eddie, the 49ers were perfect. I mean, they were just a kind of a Rubik's Cube, but what a great point in time, what a great collection of people that was. And Eddie, was responsible for it all because of his benevolence, and Bill was so smart that he was responsible for it too. They were just perfect partners together, yin and yang, just perfect together. And they created this team, and the leaders of that team, Ronnie Lott and Dwight Clark and Joe Montana, formed that team, and that was a very, very special football team.